You may know KVNO for its classical music.
We'll hear the Oriental Dance next on KVNO.
But recently they have started adding a newscast to their lineup. Robin Wish was hired as the news director 8 months ago. In that time, she has established a partnership with several news organizations.
It's a good model for media right now to collaborate with other public radio and also, alternative weeklies like The Reader, and anybody, really. I think, our newsrooms are getting smaller around the country, and the more that we can collaborate and pool resources and get journalists working together, the better our news can be.
Wish says KVNO is trying to do things differently to set their newscast apart.
People turn to us generally for more kind of in-depth perspectives, so that's what we can really differentiate ourselves from and set ourselves apart by really looking at those issues a little bit deeper, telling a lot of personal stories about people living in poverty and kind of follow the life cycle of a person in poverty. And I think that was an important series to do because it is a really big and important issue here in our community, and I don't know if it gets as much coverage as it should.
You can listen to the news here on KVNO in the morning at 6, 7, and 8 a.m., throughout the rest of the day at noon, 4, and 5. For the Omaha News, I'm Dan Jensen.
The Iowa Catholic Conference puts out a pamphlet every election year advising Catholics on how to vote. This year, the conference is encouraging Catholics to vote yes to a constitutional convention in hopes of amending the state constitution to ban gay marriage. Tom Chapman is the executive president of the Iowa Catholic Conference. He says it's hard to tell yet whether the constitutional convention will be approved.
We've seen the polling which was done. There's one poll that I know of, and it had a small lead, in the polls that people wanted to hold a convention. By the time we get there, it's so hard to say. I think it's got as good a shot as it's ever had, I'll say that.
Dr. Steve Bullock is the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. He also teaches classes on the United States Constitution. He explains the process of adding an amendment to the Constitution.
So someone would have to submit the proposed legislation, proposed amendment, and it would have to be approved as it stands on both the House and the Senate side. So something similar would occur with an amendment process.
Even if the people of Iowa vote affirmative on the Constitutional Convention, there's no guarantee that gay marriage will be brought up there. For the Omaha News, I'm Dan Jensen.
The Douglas County Election Commissioner's Office has validated over 28,000 signatures on a petition to recall Mayor Suttle. Dr. Paul Landau is an assistant professor at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. He also served as chief of staff to former Mayor Mike Fahey for 7 years. Landau explains what happens next.
Mayor Suttle will get a letter in the mail from the Douglas County Election Commissioner that offers him the opportunity to resign. Mayor Suttle has said he will not resign, so assuming he keeps to that promise, then the next step would be for the Omaha City Council to set a recall election. They've speculated that would be sometime in late January.
The ballot will only have one question on it.
That is the question, should Mayor Jim Suttle be retained as mayor of Omaha, yes or no? That's all that's on the ballot. If the voters say no in majority, then Mayor Suttle is removed from office.
At that point, the president of the city council assumes the mayor's office.
Gary Gernandt, who's now the president of the city council, will automatically become mayor. Then over the course of the following weeks, the city council will name an interim mayor to serve until a new mayor is elected.
Landau says it could take up until June or even July of 2011 for the issue to be resolved. For the Omaha News, I'm Dan Jensen.